something meaningful, say something I don't know.
Everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jocelyn. This is Life with Jocelyn Christina, and in today's video, I'm super excited to talk to you about my first-time home buying experience and everything that I went through from start to finish in regards to buying my new home, and also how I was able to save $30,000 in 6 months. So I'm super excited to talk to you about all those things today. My goal is to hopefully help someone out who maybe they're in the beginning stages and they're thinking about buying a home, but they're not really sure what steps to take and like what the home buying experience is like. So I'm so happy to do this video. I really hope that this helps someone with being able to buy their first home, or maybe they're buying another home and maybe there's something in my video that helps them as well. Let's go ahead and get started. I first thought about purchasing a home about 2 years ago from the date that I closed. The first thing I did was try to figure out what type of home I was looking for, whether it be new construction or a pre-owned home, you know, a home that's already been lived in before. And then I wanted to figure out, like, do I want a house that is, let's say if I did decide to go with a home that's already been lived in before, do I want a house that is like really old, like dated back to like 1920, 1930s, which, don't get me wrong, like I really love those old charm, old-timey type of houses. They're so beautiful. But I think those type of houses that are like really old also come with like a lot of work, a lot of maintenance. You might have to do a lot of remodeling because they're so old. Things might be very outdated. I thought about that. As beautiful as older homes are and as charming as they are, I thought about my own personal situation as being, you know, a single parent. It's just me by myself, and I am very busy with my work as well. So, you know, I thought that maybe buying a house that's really much older might not be the best idea for me and my situation. I decided to go towards new construction because I figured if I went towards new construction, then it's a home that is built brand new from the ground up. And, you know, I assumed there would be some type of warranties or something associated with new construction, and it would just be overall a better fit for me. It would be a house that would be move-in ready that I could just go right into without having to remodel the whole house and get everything together before I could move in. The first thing I did was go online and I just Googled like all types of like new construction homes, like all different new construction builders. So there was like a lot of choices up here in Maryland. There's Ryan Homes, Lennar Homes. Toll Brothers is another popular one up here in Maryland. I decided to Google all the different builders online, and then after I like looked at all the different builders, I looked at all the different locations of where they were building homes at and tried to figure out like where I'd want to live at, get an idea of what the home prices were in that area, and determine if that's a home, you know, if that's a home price in that area where I wanted to live. I knew I wanted to live in like a really nice neighborhood where it was family oriented, where, you know, hopefully there were other parents like me who had children like me as well. That could be in more of a community type of environment. After I researched all the different communities among all the different builders, Ryan Homes was the one that stood out the most to me, and mostly it was because of the price. So the prices of Ryan Homes, for what you could get for the price, you could get a lot more, I felt like, included in that type of home in a Ryan home compared to the other communities that I saw. Also, Ryan Homes had a lot more communities to choose from, so there were a lot more options that weren't necessarily like so far out or so close to the city. I didn't necessarily want to live like too close to DC or too close to Baltimore. Those are like the major like cities up here in the DMV area. I drove out to the community, went to look at them, sat down with one of their Ryan Home sales agent. I did not personally have a realtor. I didn't feel like I needed a realtor because, it's a new construction home, and Ryan Homes has their own salespeople as well as other people to help and support you when you're going through the home buying process. Went to the Ryan Home sales office where they have the actual model homes on site where you could see them, and I sat down with the Ryan Home sales consultant. They were all very nice, very pleasant, very welcoming. So I felt very comfortable talking to them. One of the first things that they did in the Ryan Home sales office was get an idea of what I was looking for in a new home. So, I told them how many bedrooms I wanted, which was at least 3, but preferably 4. And after that, they got an idea of what I was looking for in the home as far as features. So they have the models there on site. I went to take a look at all the different models that they had. I went through the models with the sales rep, the Ryan Home sales rep, and he showed me each model. Inside each model, he showed me, what was standard in the model. And then he showed me, what would be more than standard or like an upgrade if I were to add this and that. And so after I went through that process of looking at all the model homes, I went back to the sales office. Just to go back a little bit. So like I said, I started this process about 2 years ago. And so I actually started with looking at townhomes because I was a little bit nervous about buying a single family house for myself because like I said, it's just me. And so I was kind of concerned like, well, if I buy a single family house, would that be okay? Would that be okay for me? Like, would I be able to, actually take care of a whole big single family house by myself? Like, I was a little bit nervous about how much maintenance would be involved in a single family home versus a townhouse because like I said, I do work a lot. I'm very busy. I wasn't really sure at the time if a single family home would actually be the most convenient for me. So I started looking at townhouses. I did like the townhouses, but I was a little bit concerned about, being in a townhouse and being like so close to your neighbor, like wall to wall with your neighbor. And I was wondering like, would noise be able to travel through the wall to my townhome? Would I have any issues living so close to somebody wall to wall? So I was kind of concerned about that. And I felt like I didn't know if that was necessarily going to be enough privacy. But let me go ahead and continue. So I went back to the sales office where the townhomes were, and I actually sat down. They calculated my income and then calculated like how much the townhouse was going to cost with all the upgrades that I wanted. And based on my income, and then they added in taxes. And then once they added everything up on this price analysis sheet, they calculated what my monthly payment would look like and then what I would need for a down payment. Gave them that initial down payment money. The initial down payment money actually holds the home. It holds the, not the home, it holds the lot where they're going to build your house. So I gave them the initial down payment to hold the lot so that no one else could purchase that lot where they were going to build a house. And so I actually, began with the process of, you fill out all this paperwork and pick out all your fixtures. You pick out what kind of countertops you want for your kitchen. You pick out your flooring, your carpet. So I did all of that. And then I would say a couple months into the process, they hadn't started building my home yet. I just decided, I wasn't really sure if townhouse was for me. Like I said, I felt like it was, maybe I wasn't really sure about living, like I said, so close to my neighbor. So I decided not to go with the townhouse. They were very nice and very helpful. So I was able to actually cancel the contract, and I did not continue with the townhouse. I decided, I wanted to go towards a single family home. Obviously, a townhouse and a single family home, there's a difference in price. So, I knew I was gonna have to have, more money to put down for a single family home versus a townhouse. I wanted to, be able to save up more money for the single family home instead of getting the townhouse. I actually started focusing on ways that I could save more money to put down for a single family home. So like I said, that was the first year. And after that, just went through my finances, my budget. I sat down and I looked at all the things that I was paying for. So, I was paying for, at the time, my rent in my apartment where I was living. So I was paying for my rent, I'm paying for the utilities, my car note, and just miscellaneous things like grocery. If I took the boys out to the movies, just like little things like that, nothing big. Cell phone bill. I had internet and cable TV. So I'm thinking about all the things that I had to pay for. What I did was I sat down and I wrote out each one of my bills that I was paying on or that I had to pay for. Wrote out all those itemized things that I was paying for, and I wrote down how much I was paying for and everything. And what I did was try to find ways to cut back on anything that was considered more luxurious and not necessarily that was not a need. So for example, like I had internet service, but I had had internet and like cable TV and all this stuff, but I had like the most elaborate, expensive, like high speed, like really high speed internet with, all these extra cable channels that we weren't even watching. So I decided to, scale back on that. So I reduced the internet and cable package, and I got just the basics of what I needed for that. So that was something that I did. For example, I cut back on eating out because we used to eat out all the time. We would always go to like Cheesecake Factory or, whatever restaurants. We would go out to eat every weekend. I ordered a lot of takeout food, which was just a lot of money just going to waste for no reason at all. So I cut back on eating out. And I would order grocery, and then I would cook and meal prep for the whole week. And that money that I had, which that really actually saved me a ton of money by not eating out and cooking at home and meal prepping. And so by me doing that, I was able to save a chunk of money there, which was really good. That's just pretty much like everything I did, like as far as, trying to find ways to save money. So I scaled back on my bills, only paid what was necessary. If I had any kind of, fancy over-the-top packages for internet and things like that, my cell phone, I scaled back on that and only did the minimum or basic services. I cooked more at home instead of eating out. I reduced my shopping. I do love to shop, so I reduced my shopping. I actually did not shop at all. That was a big one for me. That was really hard because I do love shopping. So I actually did not shop or buy any type of clothes, shoes, jewelry, anything for like a year and a half. And so once I did all of that, I increased my hours at work. So, I just picked up more shifts at work and worked more, saw more of my clients or my patients to make extra money on the side. So, let's say I normally would work 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. And, I work like maybe 7 or 8 hours. So I would pick up like an extra shift or two, like maybe instead of just working Monday through Thursday, I would work also Friday and Saturday, an extra 8 hours. That would be, an extra 16 hours. And I would take that money and set it aside into my savings account. So I did that. I worked, a lot more shifts as well, as much as I could handle within, my day and my week. I did that, and before you know it, honestly, by the time 6 months came, I had more than enough saved. I actually was able to save $30,000 in 6 months, which was really good. So I was able to take that money. I was able to save that money. I went to another Ryan Homes community, and that was in December of 2021. And this Ryan Homes community had single family homes. They were quite large. It was further out in the suburbs. Actually, I met with a new salesperson. So this is now like later. I met with a new salesperson, and I sat down with this salesperson, and I went through the same motions. You know, he told me about the different models that they have. So I actually went and saw the models, the model homes, and they only had one model home, one type of model home for the Ryan homes, which was the Columbia model. And so they only had that one like on site. So I had to actually go online and look at the other Ryan Homes models online. But it was okay to see them online because they were actually like virtual. So I was able to look at the other Ryan Homes online, you know, through the virtual tour, and they were really nice. Like I really liked them. And so I was able to like look through all of them to see which one I liked. I want to say I was concerned about budget, but I also, you know, I knew I wanted to stay within a certain price range as far as the home, but I also knew that I could afford, you know, a good amount for a house. So, you know, I just mainly wanted to make sure, my biggest thing was to make sure that I picked a home that I really liked. And I also wanted to make sure I got everything in the home that I wanted, because like I said, I'm not you know, I can do like small DIY projects, but I'm not someone that's gonna be like remodeling a whole kitchen and all that stuff. So I wanted to make sure, one of the biggest things for me that I wanted to make sure of was to make sure that I got everything in the home at the time I was building the home, so that I could just move into the house and not worry about anything. I know a lot of people, they like to, you know, save and just say, well, I'm just gonna get the house and I'm gonna get, you know, the most basic stuff in my house. I'm not gonna worry about finishing the basement. I'm not gonna worry about, I don't know, doing the crown molding in the kitchen. I'm not gonna worry about getting a bathtub. I can add all that stuff later. But honestly, you know, to add all those things later it's a lot, you know, and it costs a lot of extra money to add all those things. And I feel like if it's something big, you know, or it's something that's going to change the space and create additional footage, things like that, I like large things, I feel like you should just go ahead. Like I felt like I should have just, like I felt like I'm glad I added it to the house at the time that I was building it. So for example, I wanted to add a bathroom to the basement. You know, to me, that's a big project. That's not something that I would want to personally do later on my own, because that's going to be like including all this plumbing and all this other stuff that's going to go with it. It's not like just, you know, adding tile to the kitchen wall. So I personally went ahead and added that as part of the mortgage, to add an extra full bathroom to the basement, because to me that's really important. Because I feel like if you're all the way down in the basement, you're watching movies with your family or having a function in your basement, you don't want to have to necessarily be running back upstairs to the main level or going all the way upstairs to your bedroom to go to the bathroom. So I felt like adding a bathroom to the basement was something that was functional, and also, you know, I felt was necessary for me. My sales rep for Ryan Homes, he went through all of the different options for me, all of the different upgrades. He told me how much, you know, everything would affect my mortgage payment, you know, how many dollars it would affect my mortgage payment by. So it was usually only like a few dollars. Most things were only like going to be like a few dollars difference in my monthly mortgage payment. So I went ahead and just added, you know, like I said, some of the main things that I felt like I knew that I necessarily was not going to be building later, and that was really important for me right now. After I finished going over like everything with the builder, like after I finished, you know, after I finished going over all of the upgrades with the sales agent, and I picked out which model home that I was going to go with the Ryan Homes. After that, you know, he did the new sales agent did the same thing. So, you know, he calculated what my income was, and then he calculated what the price of the home was, added in tax and all that, and the down payment, and any things that I had to pay for on a monthly basis, like my car payment. He included all of that in this cost analysis, and then he calculated what my monthly payment would look like. I sent him a deposit, which was $5,000. The $5,000 deposit actually held the lot. Like I said, that holds the lot and it makes sure that no one else, tries to buy your house or buy that lot where your house would be built at. So I gave him that initial deposit for the $5,000 down to hold that lot, that space where I wanted the house to be built. When you go into the sales office, they have like this big map, and it shows you like all of the different lots, where they're at on the property. It'll show you like, how much yard space you'll have, like everything. So you'll get an idea of like how big your backyard is going to be, how much yard you're going to have on the side of your house, where you're going to be at in the community in terms of like where your neighbors are. So all of that was like really important to me. I really liked the house that I chose because I believe it's just a little bit over an acre of property, what I have. And I really like that I'm in a cul-de-sac circle, which is really nice because I always wanted to live in a cul-de-sac circle because I feel like, my kids, they could come and they could go outside and play, and, I don't have to necessarily worry about so much traffic in a cul-de-sac circle. So that was really nice. That was something that I really wanted. After I did all of this cost analysis and calculated an estimated monthly payment, all of my information, like, my driver's license, my pay stubs, all my income, everything, all of that went to a loan officer. The loan officer that I worked with was actually the same loan officer that I worked with the first time around when I first started with Ryan Homes, when I was thinking about getting a townhouse. So that was actually really nice because I felt comfortable because I actually knew the loan officer already. And so that really helped me out a whole lot with feeling comfortable with the process, with going through the buying and building as well. He was super nice. And he was very helpful. He explained everything to me, anything that I didn't understand, he explained it to me, he broke it down. So that was extremely helpful for me. The first thing that the loan officer did was pull my credit, and my credit score, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't really necessarily where I wanted it to be in order to get the interest rate that I wanted for the house. So there were a couple of credit cards that I needed to pay off. It wasn't even that many. Maybe it was like, I want to say 3 or 4. It wasn't a lot of money. So I paid off those credit cards. We waited 30 days for my credit report to update. This actually took a little bit longer than 30 days. So I waited a little bit over 30 days for my credit report to update with the new credit score. In that time, my credit score actually increased a good chunk, which was really helpful for me. So I was able to put the rest of the money down on the house before they started building it. Then they actually started building my house, and that was the most exciting part. I was so excited. Like when I drove, I'm not gonna get emotional, but I'm telling you, like, buying a home is such an amazing accomplishment, and I commend anybody who is able to go through the process and buy a home, because it's such a beautiful experience to go through, and it's just so nice to see something that you're actually able to see something in the physical that you've worked so hard for. So I remember, like, after they, pulled my credit, I paid off a couple of credit cards, I put the rest of the money down for the house, I got pre-approved. All of that was part of the pre-approval process. And after I got pre-approved, they started building the house. So once they started building my house, when they first started, I remember just driving out to the community and just seeing them, like, just even the first picture of just like digging the dirt. Project manager, he was amazing. He sent me pictures every single week with updates on my new home. And every week he sent me pictures of, where they were at in the process. And I was just like super excited. Like, it was just the best experience ever. My experience was really good. It was really positive. Everybody was always there for me. I felt extremely supported by Ryan Homes, and also NVR Mortgage, which is who initially my loan was through. I have nothing but positive things to say about Ryan Homes. I decided to just go with just 4 bedrooms and 3.5 bathrooms. Upstairs in my master bathroom, The soaking tub was an upgrade. The frameless shower was an upgrade. That was a big deal for me, that frameless shower. I do not like framed showers. I do not like framed showers. I don't know. I feel like every time I see a framed shower, I just cringe because it's something about it that just makes me feel like it's just outdated, it's old, I don't know, it's not even that it's outdated, it's just not stylish. Like, I have no idea why people get frame showers. Like, that's just my personal opinion. Please, I don't want anybody to take that personal, but I don't like frame showers. I like frameless showers. I like to see that, that glass seam around the shower. That is just absolutely beautiful to me. Just didn't like the idea of having that silver metal, frame shower. Oh my gosh, I don't like that either. They took about, let me see. So they started building my house in April of 2021. So they've started building from April, May, June, July. So that's 4 months. So it took 4 months to build my house. And then after the 4 months, I closed on July 31st, which was the most exciting day of my whole life. Oh my gosh. I remember I still had to go to work that day, and I was just like, I don't want to go to work. I just want to stay in my house. I just want to enjoy my new house. I don't want to go to work. But yeah, so I had to go to work that day and woke up early. I went to my closing. At my closing, they go over all the paperwork with you and everything. And you sign so many papers. I was there for almost 2 hours, but the gentleman that did my closing, he was so nice, very helpful. Before I got to the closing, I did receive a phone call from the loan officer, and they do go over any final amounts that you have to pay at closing. So my final amount at closing was no surprise. It was actually the same amount that I was told at least 2 or 3 months before closing. So that was the same. There was no surprise with that. So I went to closing, I already had my, cashier's check. I already had my cashier's check at closing. So I did that. I went to closing with my cashier's check with the amount that they quoted me to pay at closing. And then I gave that. And after I was there for 2 hours and I finished filling out all those papers, they gave me my keys, and I was just super excited. I was so happy. It was like, oh my gosh, it was like a weight was lifted off of my shoulders, because I just felt like, honestly, this was such an accomplishment that I had always wanted, was to be able to buy a home for myself. And I didn't necessarily want to settle, and I didn't want to just have to buy any kind of house. And so I'm so happy that I was able to, take my time and, buy a house that I feel was right for me, that I absolutely love, that I feel has everything that I want. And, my best advice, I would say to anyone who is wanting to buy a new house, who's thinking about buying a new house, is to, sit down, make a plan, and think about, like I said, what type of house you want to buy, whether you want to go new construction or if you want to buy an older home, and determine what your budget is like. So, you want to look at how much money you're making, how much income you're bringing in, and then determine how much house you can afford based on your income. And honestly, even if it just depends on what your timeline is. If you're not in a hurry to buy a house and you really want to, go for a house that is a little bit extra in your home, you want to do more upgrades and things like that. You can take your time if you have the time. You can say, okay, this is the kind of house that I want. This is where my budget is right now. You can work on saving, and like I did, setting aside a little bit of money every month. Calculate all your bills up and figure out okay, how much money do I have left over every month? If you have the opportunity to work more hours at work, you know, you can do that and then take that extra money and put it aside. Reduce any extracurricular activities that you have. So going out to eat, shopping, those are the things that I used to do. That was taking away a lot from, you know, my extra money. So reducing, you know, all of your extracurricular activities and using that money to set aside in your savings account. And then, you know, work on, okay, if I set aside this much money every month for the next 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, however long it takes you, then figure out, okay, how long will it take me to get to my goal amount for my down payment for my home? And then, you know, once you have all that written out and calculated, figured out, then I would say definitely, you know, you want to go ahead and move towards working towards those goals and actually, you know, putting them into practice. Buying a home can be a reality for anyone. And so, yeah, so I'm really glad I was able to do this. And that, like I said, that was my home buying experience. I hope I went over everything in this video. You know, I'm trying to think to myself right now, like, did I touch on everything? Hopefully I went over everything in this video, and I really hope this video is helpful to someone who is thinking about buying their first home and wanted to maybe get an idea of what someone else's home buying process was like. Pretty much it for this video. I really hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you all enjoy all of my videos, but I really hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope that this video helps someone. And, you know, don't forget to leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video. You know, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you are a first-time home buyer and you're buying a home right now, or if you're thinking about buying a home but you're not sure which direction to go, what type of house to buy. You know, just let me know your thoughts of what you're thinking about. And the next video that I'll be uploading on Wednesday is going to be a 6-month home update. So I will be going around the house and just showing you what the house looks like right now at the 6-month mark, how everything looks, because that's super important. I feel like that's one thing I don't really see a lot of on YouTube is people kind of going back and doing like a 6-month or a 1-year house update. It kind of show like what the home looks like, how they're feeling at the 6-month mark, or how they're feeling at the year mark of being in their new home, if they still feel the same about it as they did when they first closed on the house. I will see you all on Wednesday. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.
Say something mean.